Hello, it's Monday, and that means it's time for Marketing Magic Mondays. I'm your host, Stephen Westward. Thank you for joining me. If you're interested in marketing or would like to learn more in order to grow your business, then I highly recommend you hit that subscribe button. So far in this series, we've looked at geographic segmentation, which is telling you where your target customer is based. Then we've looked at demographic segmentation, which is looking at who your target customer is. And today we're going to be looking at psychographic segmentation, which is looking at why your customers make the purchasing decisions that they do. Imagine a world where you could read the minds of your customers and work out what drives them. It would be pretty fantastic, wouldn't it? But do you think it would actually change the way you market your products and services and change the messaging that you use? Now, sadly, I'm not psychic, and I certainly wasn't born with the gift of telepathy. I am, however, somebody who does work in marketing and understand the psychology behind why people buy what they do. In 1989, a man named Weber defined psychographic segmentation as an approach to market segmentation based on consumer personality traits. In contrast to the other types of segmentation, psychographic segmentation focuses on the motives behind the customer buying journey and offers answers into why people behave the way that they do, especially when making purchases. So within this video, we're going to take a deeper look into psychographic segmentation and the factors involved in order to help you develop a more well-rounded customer persona. We're going to look into the lifestyle of your customer. We're going to look into the social status of your customer, the activities that your customer does, their opinions and their interests, and use this information to help develop your marketing and advertising strategy. That's because this information is invaluable to the designing and planning of marketing, as well as helping you to determine what channels of advertising and marketing you're going to use and how you're going to communicate with your customer. You'll be able to handle objections because you understand what motivates people, and you'll be able to show, not tell, how your products and services can impact somebody's life for the better. I just want to make one thing very clear before we do get into this. You need to understand that you may think you've got the best business or product or service out there, and that's okay, but it doesn't matter what you think, it only matters what your customers think. So if you think you've got the best thing since sliced bread, and your customer doesn't, they're not going to buy from you. And it is a harsh reality, but it is also true. So what we need to do is use marketing as a way to help show your customers that what you are indeed selling is the best thing since sliced bread. Now, I absolutely love psychographic segmentation, and the reason why I love it so much is because it stops you from generalizing who your target market is. It helps you to really narrow down on the likes and dislikes and motivations behind the purchasing decision and helps your customers make informed decisions. So the first factor we're going to look into is lifestyle segmentation of the psychographic segmentation in marketing. So did you know that you are making your buying decisions based on your life choices? Think about it this way. If you're a student at university with a part-time job, you're going to be buying very, very different things, and you're going to be prioritizing very differently to somebody who is a C-level executive, for example. And that isn't just limited to the things you buy, as in the clothes, the supplies, the way you live. It's also the type of food you eat, where you go for food, the type of entertainment you enjoy, the type of activities that you do. It is all part of your lifestyle. So what marketers do, they've divided lifestyle into three different sections: A, I, O. A stands for activities, I stands for interests, and O stands for opinions. And once you understand the different dimensions of your customer's life, what will happen is you'll be able to tailor your marketing to them in a more specific way. So the first part of lifestyle we're going to look at is opinions. So from politics to food decisions to the color of clothes we wear to the color we put on our walls, the type of furniture we put in our houses, the type of car we drive, everything is based on opinion, whether that be to our own taste or to the taste of others. Somebody has an opinion on something. Now, what drives your opinions is actually your core beliefs, and your core beliefs are ingrained in you. They're part of your personality, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later in the video. But they are ultimately your values. They are what you stand for. They are what you will not sacrifice for anything. And they do stem from your cultural or religious backgrounds. Now, these beliefs that drive choices that we make every day are actually aligned to 3 different categories. And those 3 different categories are social, economic, or environmental. There are more branches to each one of those. So even though it may not directly relate to social, it will fall under that wider category. Now, as a business owner, people will have opinions on your products and services, and also how their beliefs align with yours. So remember, this is not about what you think, it is about what your customer thinks. So on average, it does take 5 to 7 times of somebody seeing your content before they start registering your brand. But how do they consume information? Looking into their opinions can actually help you decide and decipher what platforms are best for you. So does your customer prefer video? Do they prefer blogs? Do they prefer social media? Do they prefer listening to audio? How do they consume information? It also helps you to decide on where you can find this information. So it helps you find where your customer is. The next thing that does sway opinions, and I know this for a fact, is social proof. As humans, we are psychologically wired to want to follow the crowd. And the reason why that is because many thousands of years ago it kept us alive. We still inherently want to be part of that crowd. So what we do is, whenever we're making a purchasing decision, we will look at what other people are saying about that product or service. So the more reviews you have, the more likely it is that you're going to increase your number of sales. Now, just to give you some perspective here, over 93.4% of people who make purchases online actually do so because of the reviews and testimonials and case studies that they have read. Think about it this way. When was the last time you made a big purchase online before reading any review? Opinions can be formed logically, they can be formed using facts, they can be formed using personal anecdotes. There's a lot of ways that a person can create an opinion about you and your business. The next thing we're going to look into is interests. How invested are people and how much do they engage with their interests can make a significant difference to how they perceive you and your business. So for example, you can be interested in people such as friends and family. You can be interested in books, in hobbies. You can be interested in school or work. You can be interested in fashion, food, travel. There's so many different types of interests out there that many people have. Now, targeting people based on interest is actually something that will greatly help you to narrow down who it is that you want to target. Because interest is such a broad topic, what you'll do is, as you're researching it, you will find a pattern. You will see that quite a large portion of your customer base are interested in the same thing or a similar thing. What you then do is you break that down even further. So let's say, for example, that your customer is interested in sports. You then dig deeper, dig further, and you find out that they're interested in cycling. You then go even further and realize that it's not just cycling, it's mountain biking. What this does is it allows you to highlight what they need. It helps you to highlight how they could invest in that interest. And in doing so, what you can do is you can see that they need a certain type of bike, or tires, or parts for their bike. They need certain equipment to wear. They might need the latest camera to record what they are doing. There's a lot of ways that you can break just that one interest down into a lot of different opportunities. And lastly, we have A. Now, if you remember, I did say that it was AIO, and I've done this backwards, and I'll explain why in a minute. So A is activities. So this is finding out what your target customer's day-to-day looks like. It's finding out what they commonly do. Are there any activities that they actually don't do very much of or very often, but they do heavily engage in? Is there a certain time of year that they do more stuff than others? What will help you to navigate the activities portion of psychographic segmentation is if you're able to answer these questions. What is the activity for? Is it for work? Is it for family? Is it for school? How often do they do the activity? Does the activity cost money? This one's quite important, because if they're investing money into the activity, then they're more likely to invest in something that provides them a solution to something that they've come across within that activity. Be it more comfortable footwear, be it a piece of equipment or a water bottle or something along those lines. And then the last question that you should be asking your customer is, how much do they engage with that activity? What something does in their free time can give you a huge boost to your business. So if they are interested in sport, then they're going to want to invest money and time into that sport because it helps them be physically fit. Whereas if they have a more sedentary lifestyle, they might want to invest more in a home cinema kit, or they might want to invest in going to the cinema or eating out with friends at certain types of restaurants or drinking certain types of drinks. Now, the reason why I went through them in the order that I did is because they actually feed into each other. Your opinions feed directly into your interests. Your interests are then driven by your activities. And you don't just have to pick one and go with it. With the activities, interests, and opinions, what you're doing is, if you use all three of them, you're able to tie it together. You're able to tell more of your target customer's story. And because you're able to tell more of their story, you're able to relate to them better. And in doing so, they're able to find you and relate to your business. And just to quickly touch on the customer journey, the first stage is awareness. The second stage is consideration. By targeting their interest and by doing it this way, what you're doing is you're piquing their interest. You're making them aware of who you are and your brand. You're then making them interested and to consider buying from you. The next part we're going to look at for psychographic segmentation is social status. How someone perceives their social status will greatly impact how they spend their money and why they spend their money that way. So if they're upper class, they're going to have a lot more disposable income. They're also more likely to have free time, and this could be somebody who's upper class because they've worked their way up through the social classes to upper class, or it could be somebody who has got some old family money. It doesn't really matter. At this stage, it's about having the level of income where they can pretty much just buy what they want when they want. And however many of it that they do want, and money is no object. Then you've got your middle class. Now, your middle class are highly educated individuals who tend to be your white collar workers. So they're your professors, your lawyers, your accountants. They are people who, although can pretty much afford whatever they want, they may have to save up some money in order to do certain activities or buy certain things. Likewise, they may not be able to afford every luxury out there. And then you've got your lower class. And your lower class are people who are your quote-unquote low-skilled and low-educated. They tend not to go to university. And they tend to work more physically demanding jobs for less pay. So they are more likely to focus on their day-to-day spending, and they're more likely to focus on getting through the month, or at least between paydays. So they don't have a lot of disposable income, if any. When it comes to deciding on your pricing, for example, it's always good to know what social class you're aiming for so that you can understand the type of background that they've got, the type of work experience they have, the type of level of income that they've got. Your demographics, this is where your demographics start to come into it now. Then you've got personality. Now, the best personality section of this video was running too long. When I did the research, I realized that I probably should do a separate video for this alone, so I'm only going to touch on it here. Now, if you remember at the very start of this video, I suggested that the definition for psychographic segmentation was to do with personality traits. And that is exactly what we're looking at here. We're looking at people's personality, what it is that is unique to them, what it is that drives them, what it is that gives them their goals, their ambitions, their motivations, and how people perceive their lives. By understanding your target audience's personality, you're able to again, meet them where they hang out. You're able to tailor that messaging directly to them, so it's like you're speaking solely to them. And people like to be recognized, and they like to have that conversation and that exchange. You'll end up driving people with similar personalities towards your products or services or towards your business. And this is where they begin to really consume your content. And then you've got the latter half of your consumer journey, which is where they actually buy from you. And because they buy from you, they recommend you. So there is a lot more detail that I could go into with this, but like I said, I know that this is a separate video. So how do you find out about psychographic segmentation from your target customers? Like I've said in previous videos, it's not enough to make assumptions. So what you do is you ask your target customers. You ask them questions that help give you the answers that you're looking for. So you're going to start off with surveys, which is quantitative research. That is where you can have a huge data pool, a huge number of people filling in this survey. And what this does is it helps you to recognize patterns. From this, you're then going to set up focus groups and interviews, one-to-one interviews with people, so you can really delve deep into what motivates them. Then once you've got all of this, you're going to put it all together in your customer persona. And you're going to use that information in order to develop your messaging and develop how you're going to target your customers, what channels you're going to use, what platforms you're going to use, and the type of content you're going to use. And you're going to start your marketing campaign. Because what it does is it helps you to write clear, compelling copy that evokes emotions and stokes action. You're also able to refine your social media audience. And the reason why you're able to do this is because you have a better understanding into the interests that your clients have. This will then help you to generate the new content ideas, like I've already said. And you're also able to use what's known as aspirational marketing. And this is marketing that is tailored to make people feel like if they buy from you, it won't just solve their problem, it will make their life easier. There's two examples that I just want to quickly run through for segmenting the market using psychographic segmentation. The first one is Headspace. Now, Headspace is an app that helps people meditate. They discovered that a large portion of their consumer base was actually teachers, and teachers are very influential, especially when it comes to things like mental health and passing on to students that sort of vital information. So what Headspace did was they ran a campaign that gave offers to teachers. Through that campaign, they had 25,000 new subscribers. The second one that I want to just briefly look at is Allspice. Now, Allspice has been around since 1937, and it's an American male grooming brand. What they discovered was that even though it's about male grooming, their client base, their customers, wanted to feel manly. So they developed a slogan and they developed a whole marketing campaign around the idea of, we built our products uniquely for your face, a man's face. In 2010, they then relaunched a campaign, which was the man your man could smell like. Since launching that campaign, Allspice has found that they have increased their revenue on average of 107% year on year. So just a few final thoughts for psychographic segmentation, which is my favorite in terms of market segmentation. It allows you to dive deep into understanding why people buy what they do. It allows you to differentiate your market based on the activities, interests, and opinions of your customer base, as well as understanding the different personality traits that people have in order to attract them to your business. If you don't get this right, what will happen is you'll have a huge collection of information that you can't do anything with. But if you do it right, you're going to end up with a powerful tool that refines and creates your message to increase those sales. You're able to understand what it is that your customer buys and why they buy that, as well as why they buy particular brands. And you're able to sway opinion because of it. What do you think of psychographic segmentation? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to please share. That's it for this week. Thank you very much. I will see you next week. Bye bye.